Hello everybody! I'm going to show you how you can use the scripting dictionary in VBA to create a summary of a table just like this. Let me show you what we're trying to do. If we create a little bit of a drop down, say I choose Bob and I was to choose out of his two products that he sells, oranges. Alright, so if we create a little summary, alt equals, we're looking for 687 and 2016. We want to consolidate all of those lines into one line. Bob, oranges, 687, 20611. Well, I mean, the button's a little bit skewed at the moment, but let's remember those numbers, 687 and 2061.1, and then let's run our procedure, yeah? I'll just take these out. Alright, so what was it? Bob, oranges. So we go to our results tab, find Bob, oranges, 687, 206.1. Oh, didn't believe me? Let's take the data out, go back again, bang, hit it, back. There it is, 687, 206.1. And the summation of this column, alt equals, will be exactly the same as the summation for this column. Yeah? 1095, 10935. Yeah, so it's exactly the same. So, and this table gets produced on the fly, and watch how quickly it gets produced. If I delete the table, delete everything inside the table, watch the mouse flicker. There wasn't a mouse flicker. It gets produced very, very quickly because of the speed of the dictionary. Okay, so how would we do this, yeah? Now, look, bit of a caveat, you could create this in a pivot table very, very quickly, very, very easily, but the applications for the scripting dictionary are extreme, and you can use it for so many other things. So this is basically a tutorial how you would get a scripting dictionary up and running based on, if you haven't already picked it, the uniqueness of these two columns. So we're going to concatenate these two columns inside the dictionary, and then we're going to consolidate these columns out here, but using all of the data inside of the model, so it's giving us a nice, neat summary in the format that we want to see it in. So Bob gets his first two columns, we get the year that it happened, the type, and then the price per unit, and then it just summarizes the last two columns. Does that make sense? That's what we're going to get the code to do in the back end. All right, so we'll just go into Visual Basic. So we'll press Alt F11. All right. Okay, so once we're in the back end, what we'll do is we'll set up the subroutine. I've just created this module 1. So sub, and then we'll sum join, that'll do, yeah? Okay, now we set up our procedure with our dim statements. So we're going to dim a range first, dim RNG as a range. Now we'll dim an R, because I'm going to use and abuse that as a range as well. We're going to dim a few long integers. So we're going to dim I as a counter, so that's a long integer. We'll do the same with J, that can be a counter as a long integer, and we're going to do the same with N. Yeah, they're going to be our three counters during the procedures, I, J, and N. Now we're going to need a text variable, so we'll dim TXT as a string. And for our final two, we're going to dim an AR as a variant. Yeah. And finally, dim, we're going to make a dictionary object, so it's as a new dictionary. Now, dictionary popped up because in the tools menu, I have a reference to the Microsoft scripting runtime. You need to have this reference, so go down and find it if you're following along and basically put it in, yeah? All right, okay. Good stuff. Now I'm going to set a range first. So I'm going to set my RNG equal to, now what I'm going to do, let me just minimize this, is I'm going to make column A my banker. So I want everything in my array from row 1 all the way down to the last row. And as it grows, this is my banker column. So it will dictate how big the range is, yeah? So we'll go back into VBA and we'll say we want the range to be from A1 to comma, and I might just take the shortest route, A1048576, and then dot end Excel up, and that's our dynamic range, yeah? All right, so that's the first part of our equation, and then our array is going to be equal to square bracket A1 dot current region. Now, what is the current region? Well, the current region is just this. We put our cursor here, Control Shift 8. That's the current region. So it's basically everything in this block of data. So include the whole lot. So it's good to create data with non-continuous ranges because it goes straight into the current region, and you can use and abuse it with code. Yeah. So that's the current region, and then finally we're going to set our dictionary up. So we'll set DICT equal to, now don't do a typo, create object, and then open a bracket, and then we're just going to call that our scripting dot dictionary. All right, good stuff. All right, so we've got that set up. That's basically everything set up. We're ready to go. So we're going to say with our dictionary, with DICT. Now this is the sort of speed tool that's going to allow us to punch information into our dictionary, and we've got keys and items, and we're going to add data to both our keys and items. Now firstly we're going to set up a range. So we'll say for each R in our range, RNG, yeah? Now whenever I create any sort of for statement, I always finish that off. So next R, okay? So that's our starting point. This is going to move further and further down as we go. All right, so I'll just close that so we've got a bit more real estate, yeah? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a text join. So I'm going to join these two columns, yeah? So you saw in my demonstration, Bob's got multiple sales, but he's got apples, oranges, and he may even have pears, yeah? But what we want to do is we want to say Bob and apples, and that can be one of our headings, and then Bob and oranges, and that can be another. But I've got to concatenate those two columns to get there, yeah? All right, so let's go back into the back end, and this is how we're going to do it. We're going to say that our text string, yeah, is equal to our join. So we're going to join the two items. Now, we have to do this in a bit of a roundabout sort of a way. So we say application dot transpose, and then we say that again, application dot transpose. All right, good stuff. Now we'll say that we want R, the range that we're looping through over here, to be dot resized. Yeah, we'll resize the range, and we're going to resize it by two columns. So it's comma 2. Yeah, so it's row comma column. So we'll resize it. We'll close the bracket for the resize. We'll close the bracket for the first application dot transpose, and then the second one, and then we'll say comma, and IntelliSense should tell us we're up to the delimiter, and the delimiter is going to be a comma. So open quotation marks, comma, close quotation mark, close bracket. All right, so we press enter, and it capitalizes the application transpose times 2, which is fantastic. Okay. All right. So next we're going to test if the item exists inside the dictionary, yeah? So does that text item exist inside the dictionary, yeah? I'll just start it here because I'm short of real estate. So if not, yeah, it's a bit anti-intuitive, dot exists, yeah? And does it exist? Does the text item exist, yeah? And if it does not, yeah, then we want to add it. So we're going to invoke our n. So n is going to equal itself plus 1. Yeah, so we're just going to create starter counter. Okay. Now, as I said before, the Dictionary takes keys and items. The key is going to be the text, the concatenation, and the item is going to be our counter, yeah? And we're going to use and abuse that to push that information into the array that we created earlier, yeah? All right, okay, so we're going to say, okay, it doesn't exist, so we want to add it. So we're going to say .add, all right? What are we going to add? We're going to add the text from this above, txt, and then we're going to say we want the number, yeah? So basically that's going to grow, and then as new ones are found, it gets added and the number changes because we've got the n plus 1, n equals n plus 1, itself plus 1. All right, good stuff. So that's that part of the equation. Now we want to create sort of a looping construct, and this looping construct is going to go from here all the way through to here. Well, it's going to start in the first row, so it's going to add all of those items to the array. Now, the array, the AR array, has already been created, but what we're going to do is we're going to start overwriting the information in there. Not in the first instance, because when we go through the first row, it's just going to add itself on top. But then in the second row, actually it's going to add that as well. But as soon as it finds another Bob apples, it's going to go back and it's going to start to overwrite that information. Yeah? All right, good stuff. So let's continue on. Okay, so we've added that information, and now we'll just create a loop that goes from column 1 to column 7. I think we've got 7 columns. Let's have a look. 1, 2, yeah, 7 columns. Okay. Now I can trap that, and that can be growing if I just say I want the upper bound of that array. Yeah, and the upper bound of that array is going to be 4j equals we'll say 1 to u bound and then AR comma 2. So the second item here, that's the width, yeah? So that's going to be equal to 7, yeah? All right, good stuff. All right, so once we've got that in there, basically what I'll do is I'll finish that off. So we'll say next J, be consistent. And then what we want to do is we want to say, okay, the array that we've created up here, we're going to start to push in the new values, yeah, or push in the values inside of the range. So we're going to say AR, open bracket, N, comma, what column? So it's basically row column. We'll close our bracket, and that is going to be equal to our R dot offset. So we're going to offset our row by, well, our column by comma J minus 1, yeah? All right, so in the first instance, we're going to be starting in our 0 column, and then we're going to be going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, we're going to go from 0 to 6, yeah? So that's why we've gone J minus 1, yeah? All right, so that's the first looping construct for filling our array. We'll need another one. So the second part of our if statement, so we're back in our if statement, is to say else. So if this is not unique, if this is basically saying, have we found a unique text item, then do all this. If it's not unique, what we want to do is we want to say, oh, okay, apples. Oh, we found another Bob apples down here. Can you add? Basically, these columns are already the same. That's all good. Just take the new pieces of data and can you add them to what was before? Yeah? All right, good stuff. Okay, so that's effectively what we're going to do next, yeah? So we're going to invoke our I. So we're going to say for I equals 6, column 6, to our U bound, the same as what we did above. So AR, comma 2, yeah? Which is 6 to 7, yeah? And that, I suppose if that changes, we're left a little bit exposed if the columns move across a little bit, but look, you know, it's very difficult to write code, so you're always just protecting yourself against just inordinate changes, yeah? So I'll just say next, okay. All right. Okay, so inside of here, we're going to do the same sort of thing that we did up here, and we're going to say that we're going to take the item number in our scripting dictionary, and then we're going to update it with the new information in the newly found column, yeah? Right, so the column that matches, yeah? So we're going to say AR, open bracket. Oh, how did I get this on caps? AR, open bracket. And then we're going to say that we want the dot item. And then it is the item for our text. Now, this is effectively a number, yeah? And then we say comma I, and then we close our bracket. And we say that is going to be equal to, basically I want this again, so I'm just going to copy this and then paste it there. It's going to be equal to itself plus the new column information, yeah? So it's r.offset, yeah? And then we want to offset columns. So we go comma I minus 1. Remember, it starts at 0, so we take 1 off, yeah? So that should sort that part of the equation out. And then after that, we want to end our if statement. And we want to go, oh, we've got our next R, which is fantastic. So we'll bring that up. Nice one. All right, next R. All right, good stuff. Now, effectively, what we want to do is we want to push this to, now I've already got the information going into the results sheet. So I created this new tab. So we're going to push it into there, yeah? So we'll push the results of that array into this new sheet, yeah? So back inside of Excel, we'll say sheet, what is it up here? So sheet 4, okay. So sheet 4, because that's the new sheet. And then we'll say we want to put that in A1, good stuff. And then we want to resize that, resize the range. And then that's going to be, the size of the range is going to be equal to n and the amount of columns that are in the array. So it's going to be ubound AR, comma 2. All right. Now, 2 brackets to close, and that basically sets an array that's equal to the unique items inside the dictionary, which is what n is equal to. And basically, what it will do is it will take that and make that equal to AR, yeah? All right, good stuff. All right, so that's basically our source code. So let's just have a look over the code. Okay, so I might make a minor change. So I've started the with statement, I haven't ended it. So we'll say end with, okay? We'll bring that in, bring that in, so bring that in there. Nice, okay. All right, so let's go back into the, so we've called this sum join. All right, so we will create a new button. Let's just copy this one, Copy, paste, and then I might just change the color of that so it's full summary. Okay, so this one should push the data onto the new sheet. So let's go through. We've got no information on this sheet, and we will run it. New sheet. That wasn't what I expected. New sheet. Oh, we've got to do the simplest thing. We've got to assign the macro. Assign sum join. Okay. Click. New. Information pops in. All right, bit anticlimactic, but that information there, that 10935, is exactly the same as that information there. So let's go and have a dig into this a little bit more, right? So let's go Alt F11 to go into the back end. And what we want to do is we want to have a look at what's going on under the hood. So we'll go View Locals window. All right, so I might just put a breakpoint, so F9 in here. So basically we can watch what's going on. I'll make sure I'm on the right sheet. Yep, all good. All right, so let's run this procedure. We can press F5 to run it. Now it goes all the way to the bottom. Now we can examine what's actually happening inside of our array, yeah? Now, this is saying, okay, we want the range to be resized, so we want it to be basically 12 rows deep. Let's have a look at these results. So 12 rows deep, and we want it to be the maximum amount of columns, which is 7. So from A1 to basically G12, we want that to be equal to what's in the AR. So you can see, look at the AR, it goes down to 27, but these aren't required because we only want the range to be filled from A1 to G12, yeah? And inside of the variant, you'll see that AR12 is equal to 383 and 114. Now, we've already run this on this prior sheet, in the results sheet, so the 12th is Donna Oranges, 383 and 114. Now, there's information that comes in after that, but it gets excluded because our range is only the size of the array that we've used and abused. We've basically recast these first 12 items, yeah? And then that's pushing that information into the range that we've set, yeah? Now, I'll just finish this off. Now we can go in and change the nature of the source data. So I could add a new character in here. So I could say, okay, I want Mark to be a character and he's only got oranges, yeah? So I might make one there and I might take one of Bob's apples away, yeah? So we'll ask for a full summary, and I forgot that I left the breakpoint on. And then basically, I'll go cancel. I'll just finish the procedure off, good stuff. And then I'll go back into Excel. All right, and then in the new sheet, what we should have is Mark, and then it's 13 rows long. Yeah, so it can grow. It can grow in width, but it's only going to be looking at from 6 to the furthest item inside the range. Look, if you were to add like another column, let's just call it amount, and then we'll say equals rand between, and then we'll say 1 and 100. All right, so we add that data in, and then what we'll do is we'll grab actually might card code these so they don't change, so I can prove that they actually work nicely. And then we'll run a full summary, okay? And then in the new sheet, we've got amount down there, and the total for amount, you can see down here, is 1365. The total in the multi-year, if we run a sum, alt equals, down the bottom, 1365. So we just added another column, dynamically got pushed neatly into our new sheet. Yeah. So, look, as I said at the start with the caveat, that there are other ways to do this, but it's just an introduction into using the scripting dictionary to create really sharp, really fast summaries. All right, everyone. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you for more videos in our Unlocking the Scripting Dictionary series. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.